Hey guys, it's here bringing you another video. Now welcome to a Q&A video, first one of 2021, and if I time this right, this will be released just before Season 11 is launched. So a lot of the questions that we're probably answering today is about balance and how am I feeling beforehand. So we'll get through those. Before we actually begin the Q&A, I just want to say, hopefully you're all doing well, staying safe. Obviously here in Britain, or UK or whatever, it's a bit confusing with all the rules. We've just entered an official proper lockdown again. Yeah, just stay safe. It sucks, but it's just the way of things. And I will say it's probably overall for the best. I don't share too much of my personal life with you guys, but I do know people personally that have been affected by the virus, and it ain't fun. Luckily for a lot of us young people with no health conditions, it's not too serious, but it's very serious for other people. And yeah, just for the time being, protecting them until we can get the vaccine out to the greater public is obviously a good thing overall. But yeah, just stay safe, play video games, and hopefully all of your jobs and everything aren't too badly affected. But anyway, and I will say, I care about my audience a lot, I really do, so hopefully you're all doing fine. First question, though, is we'll start with, am I excited for Season 11? Like, just a blanket, am I excited? The answer is yes, for a couple reasons. I have spoken about this here or there throughout the last few weeks. And by the way, if my hat's a bit weird, it's chalk on the hat. I am weightlifting, and I do use chalk when I go a bit heavier, and if I just bang my hat and I've got chalk on my hand, that's why the hat gets a bit white. And I'm wearing the hat because my hair is sweaty because I just was working out. I am excited, like I truly am. I took Season 10 very chill because I just didn't have it in me to try hard in a year that I was also very feeling down. But I am, like everybody, a bit more used to the feeling of what the world is going through at the moment, so I'm more mentally strong against it, if that makes sense. So I am looking to try hard again in the upcoming season. If I'm completely honest, I'm looking to try hard enough to break my rank record. So my rank record is Master on EU West at 44 LP, I think. I want to try and hit my own personal little goal this season is Master 100 LP. That would be kind of cool for me. So that's kind of the goal. And hopefully you guys will be along the ride for that. So I'm excited. Again, some of these questions will touch on, do I think League is in a great place balance-wise? But I'm excited to play and to climb again. Next up is, was Omnivamp a good idea? Do we really need true damage to also do healing? No. I will say, I'm just getting out there straight away, a lot of the balance changes that Riot did in Season 11 pre-season, new items, Omnivamp, etc., I'm not a massive fan of. I think they've gone a little bit crazy with what they've done, and the only way that I can say, why it's happened, again, Riot, they're not dumb. Their balance team sometimes is like, what the? They're not dumb. They go off data, and the only thing that I can probably guess of why it's happening is they probably have data that people play League more when the games are faster. And how do you make games faster? You make everybody do more damage and like have crazy healing or whatever. You ramp that up earlier into the game, and games will end faster. It's just inevitable. And I think we all could probably say games are faster in preseason by like on average. It would be interesting to see officially if Riot was like, here's before patch preseason, this was the average time of the game, and this is the average time now. I would estimate maybe a 2-3 minute difference, and that is quite a big difference, to be fair. But yeah, I don't think Omnivamp was a great idea. Like, have Lifesteal, bring Spellvamp back properly if you want to. But yeah, Omnivamp, when it's just like you get a stat that both your auto attacks and your spells in one stat, all of it does healing, I think that's a bit too weird. I think it needs to be a bit more specialist. Like, healing is completely out of control at the moment, completely. And when I say healing, I should probably clarify, because I think that's where Riot's recently got a bit defensive, and there was a Reddit post that a designer did that got very defensive over it. I think the community maybe needs to stop saying healing, and we need to start saying self-healing. Because it's not the fact that, like, a Soraka and Nami, you're not really seeing many of those champions at the moment, because they are actually not that good at the moment. Actual healing supports are not fantastic. What is broken is self-healing. That your lifesteal spell vamp from Omni healing, that's the broken thing. So, you know, any casual, any AD carry with 2 or 3 items, nearly dead, finishes the fight, 2-3 auto attacks, they're basically back to full health. It's like, what? Like, that's just mental. I've seen with Gore Drinker, a Kayn, and yes, he does heal, or an Aatrox, go into a team fight, nearly die, activate Gore Drinker, use one ability, and they're back to full health. You're like, okay. So self-healing is broken. And I will say, I am recording this before technically the patch notes come out. I'm recording this on Tuesday. This might be Wednesday or Thursday's second video. So in tonight's patch, like, which I'll be checking out later, I am hoping, and you guys will know because the patch note video will be before this technically, we'll see if they nerf self-healing, Omnivamp, lifesteal, etc. I'm not guessing they're going to, because I think Riot for some reason likes it. And that's why I've occasionally said it kind of feels like the designers or the balancers don't really play the game, because it's not. What I'd say is League, and we'll go on to the next question now going, is do I think League is heading in a good direction? The problem with where the game is going, if I'm completely honest, it feels like the game is going in a more casual direction. And that isn't always the worst thing, but it's the way, when I say it's going more of a casual direction, it's taking skill away from the game. When everything can one-shot after having 1 item, or you lifesteal with 2 or 3 auto attacks, you're back to full health. There's no skill expression there. Getting one-shot by a Zed that has 1 item, or whatever champion it may be, you're like, oh, even a Nivea. I play a Nivea, right? And people sometimes, I think, get confused of like, oh, Huz likes the champion he plays and he's fine with them, but he doesn't like the champions he doesn't play. I play Fizz, and Fizz is stupid right now. I play a Nivea, and Nivea is stupid right now. I'm completely fine to admit the champions that even I play are dumb. I think all champions are dumb with damage. The damage is too high. And the skill has gone down because of it. Like, there's no skill expression to just one-shot things. Let's say with a Fizz. Again, no offense if you're a Fizz player, but I also play Fizz. He's a champion I've played for years. There's no skill expression for a Fizz to hit his ultimate, EQ, and one-shot somebody. Like, as soon as he hits level 6, he can do that with like not even a full item. Sometimes you're like, what? There's no skill to that. There just isn't. And that's becoming more and more and more apparent. Like, a lot of the champions that I think got released in 2020 also were that as well. Yone is not a skilled champion, at least to me. Samira is kind of the same. And these champions are nuts, you know? It's just the way of it. So the way that League is heading, I think it's going in it's worrying. I will say it's worrying. I think it is salvageable. I definitely feel it's salvageable and it could be fixed. But it just needs Riot to do it, you know? And the only way, by the way, they're going to do it is if people express their distaste to it. And the bigger thing, and unfortunately, it's the way that corporations like Riot are now, and it's the same with like EA and stuff. The only way that you get proper change is with your wallet. So if you say, oh, I'm not going to buy Riot points while this is happening, or if you stop playing the game, I'll be honest, right now, Warzone, Call of Duty Warzone, you may be like, why are you bringing that up? It's in a really bad way at the moment. The meta is terrible. The DMR... the Diamatis, like, there are some overpowered guns. I have not touched Warzone for, I think, 2 weeks. I'm not playing the game. And if, me not playing it, and I've seen, I watch Warzone content on YouTube, the comment section is just filled with people going, yeah, I'm taking a break. If thousands of people just aren't playing and they see their numbers dip, they will do something about it. And hopefully Warzone will, and maybe that needs to happen with Riot. Because there's no incentive to fix it if the player base is staying and they're still spending money. So that's the point. Next up is, what do I think is the most overpowered item in the game? There's a lot of overpowered items right now, but the one that springs to mind instantly, and some people call it overpowered, but I think it's just overpowered in principle, Collector. The Collector. I just don't understand how you can have a execution, which is a big mechanic that, some champions have. An actual execution. If you get to like Urgot Ultimate is a big part of his kit. I don't understand how you can give a percentage execution, which I think Collector's 5% health, that if you hit them with 5% health, they're just dead. Like, I don't understand how an item can do that. That just doesn't seem right to me. So mine would be collector. I just don't agree that an item should have a big mechanic like an execution is. Next up was the whole item change necessary, or was it to just keep the popularity up? It's a mix of two things. It's the reason why League I think, actually became the biggest game. Like, again, League isn't alone in the genre. It's a MOBA, right? So Dota 2 is there. Heroes of the Storm was there. I know Dota 2 a little bit more now than I have previously. My girlfriend plays Dota 2. And they do not get as regular updates as League. I think part of League's success has been how regularly they update. Every 2 weeks, you know, and they have changed that over the years. They had a couple years ago, they were like every month or every 2 months, we're having a massive patch. And that really changed up the game a lot. But we're now, for the past couple years, every 2 weeks we get a patch. That's a lot of updates, and that keeps the game constantly fresh. And then what Riot have been doing is every season, the last couple years, they come with pre-season, a big idea. So like before, it was the Elemental update for the map. So the 4 different dragons, Elder Dragon, and also the map changes. This season was the items. So was it needed? Not really. The game would have functioned completely fine and probably still been the biggest game. But the idea is if you don't try to change or innovate, the game does become stale and slowly their player base will die and leave. The problem that you obviously run into is if the change isn't liked or it's done badly, then the player base will leave because of that. Not because they're getting bored, but because they don't like the change. So you kind of have to innovate as a game designer. You have to change the game every now and then. And that's been part of why Riot has been successful with League. But yeah, this change, I honestly just think that they derped out a bit, if I'm completely honest. I think that you guys saw when we did PBE content before preseason, we went on the PBE, and I was so concerned even before preseason, going, these items are insane. And a lot of people were saying that. A lot of people, pros, were tweeting it out, and it just doesn't seem that Riot's actually taken that at all. Like, yeah. So I don't know. I really don't know. Like, someone did look at the graph of every single champion's damage done, average damage done per game. And the average damage done per champion in the game has gone up 30%. That's mental. So, I don't know. I'm not sure. Was it necessary? No. But I also grant, again, I've got a game design background. I mention that every now and then. Games do need to update every now and then. And I think that Riot did the update, which is fine. But they just did it badly. But yeah. If you could fully balance one thing, a role, item, champion, type of skill, like stealth, what would it be? Oh, I see. What would I completely balance? Well, I will say I don't believe in actual balance in League of Legends, or in mainly any video game. I don't think true balance exists, because there's always variables that will change it. People will go, oh, every champion with a 50% win rate, balanced. But then you've got the player variables. Some players are terrible, some players are special. That's why you have champions like Azir that got nerfed at a 44% win rate. You can't take overall win rate that seriously because it doesn't really matter. It's more about the players in the ratings that you're in rather than the overall. So I don't actually believe in true balance. I don't think it'll ever exist. You fix one thing, that leads to something else being broken or overpowered. Like if you notice, a lot of things that happen in League are indirect, that they don't get buffed or nerfed in a patch note, but because something else got changed, then it opens up the option for something else that hasn't been touched for ages, and people discover, oh, this actually isn't bad, or because that got buffed, this is a counter to that thing, and now we can bring that into meta, and now it's really strong. So I don't actually believe in true balance. Obviously, this is maybe more of like a magic question, that if I could. What would I truly balance? I don't know. I'd balance the current items that are in the game because they are far, far from it. Next up is how long do I think Riot will take to truly balance champions for Season 11 and the futures to come? Again, as I mentioned, I don't think true balance exists, but to balance it to a state that the game feels okay, I don't know if they will, to be honest. If I'm completely honest, I don't know if they will. Because what you also have to... The one thing to say is I'm sure the people in Riot, I know a lot of them, are lovely people. But when you're a designer, you become very attached to your thing. great examples. There used to be quite an outspoken designer at Riot called Daniel Z. Klein, I think his name was. Quite an outspoken dude, very much on social media all the time. He designed a few champions, and Taliyah was one of his. He did a few. And if the player base really disagreed with him, he would fight tooth and nail that they were wrong. And it could be thousands of people. He was right. They are wrong. And a big example of that was Taliyah's W. You know, the way that you use it. On release, it was different to how normal directional abilities get used in League. It was completely new. But it felt really janky. Why wouldn't you just make it like Victor Z or Rumble Ultimate? That's the kind of same thing that the Taliyah W is. It's a directional skill shot that starts from a core place and gets put out in a different direction. So the player base was like, it's silly that it's different. But he was like, oh, it has to be different. Well, a few weeks later, I'm guessing people, because he was really argumentative on Twitter, I'm guessing someone above him was like, we need to go with what the player base is. And thankfully, they did change Taliyah W to be the way that the rest of League of Legends skill shots based on direction, etc. works, and that was better. But designers do become very attached to their thing. A champion designer, like a good example is champion designers that design a champion for one role. So, for example, the guy that makes Set designs him as a top laner. He now is being played as support. He probably feels a bit like, oh god, he's playing support. I designed him for top. Or Pantheon, the rework, the guy that did the Pantheon rework, designed him from top. He's now been playing support. Or Seraphine, designed for mid, and it's kind of support. Designers hate that. You know, they want it to be played in the thing that then they get attached to the idea of what they're doing. So for balance to happen, whoever is the designers to the items, they have to let go a little bit of like what they've done. They need to let it go and go, we did do a bit wrong, let's fix it. And I'll say, that's not easy to do. As a designer, it's genuinely not the easiest thing to do. So we'll see. It depends how quickly, if that ever comes. And sometimes, again, it's not even the designers that do it. Sometimes it's the higher-ups who have access to all the player data. And if they're seeing the player data go down because of it, then they'll tell the designers, you need to do that. So we'll see. Next up... Do I think reducing overall damage in the game, starting with champions and items, will help? Or are there fundamental flaws at the moment like Collector, which need to be overhauled? I think there are outliers like Collector, but I think just reducing the damage in the game, again, as I said, 30% on average, every champion's damage in the game has gone up. So I think, yeah, just reducing the damage dealt and maybe stats, etc., and scaling, if they've done anything with that, it just needs to happen. So that's, yeah, pretty much. Best tips for climbing out of low ELO. Condense your champion pool. I wouldn't say one trick, but I think one tricking actively hurts you in the long run. It can help you in the short term, sure, because you get very consistent, or in theory, get consistent with the one champion. But if that champion gets changed or nerfed, like recently, we were on stream, we saw a Jax one trick player. If anybody's from the stream, you may remember. He had a name like Skylord or something like that, and it was weird. I had him in one game, and then the game dodged. He hovered Jax. I guess he dodged the game himself, because the next champion select, it was the same guy, but with Skylord 1. He was Skylord before, then Skylord 1. And again, his name might be not Skylord, but it was something like that. And I was like, what the hell? So his initial account had like hundreds of games of Jax, pure one trick. Skylord 1, the next account, had hundreds of games of Jax, and then we did actually look up Skylord 2 and Skylord 3, all Jax one-trick accounts. And I'm guessing he swaps around depending if Jax is picked or banned or whatever. That guy, pure Jax one-trick. And he, by the way, I think in the game we had, he actually didn't do that well, from memory. He had a negative win rate on Jax too. But let's say that guy. You can definitely say he's a Jax player, probably not very good at anything else. Sole purpose playing Jax in League. What happens if Jax got reworked, or if Jax is just terrible right now? Your whole League of Legends experience gets changed. That's very risky. So I'd say I never would one trick, but small champion pool, sure. Because small champion pool also helps your skill not get dumbed down, because you are having to do different things at different times. If you just play one thing, you get used to only playing one way, one skill set, and that's why I think a lot of one tricks do struggle having to play something else, especially. But yeah, small champion pool, condense it, 3-4 champions per role that you want to play, and play a lot of games, to be honest. You can't climb if you're not playing games. The more games you play, the more likely you're going to get better and climb. Do I still think of League of Legends as a job? Is there anything that would make League feel like a game to me again? It's always going to be a job for me at the moment because it is my job. Like that, it's not a negative that it's my job, but it is. So no, like, even I still enjoy League a lot, but even if I absolutely adored the game, I'm in Master, I'm laughing every single episode, I'm playing fantastic, it still is my job. So no, like it is. Someone's randomly favorite type of bread spread. I don't really just have bread. If I am ever having bread spread, I'll have toast. Bit of a random question, but mine is, I think you pronounce it pumula. It's like a cheese spread here in Britain. I don't know if it exists anywhere else, but specifically the cheese and chive flavor. It's so good. It's nice. And look, unfortunately, with my diet at the moment, I'm not really having carbs, so I can't have toast. Next up, and potentially the last question for today's episode, is what do I think about the rank system becoming easier and easier to climb each year? Higher LP gains, free division wins, blah, blah, blah. Well, that's kind of what we spoke about right at the beginning, is the game is becoming a bit more casual. You know, is it easier to climb? I would say it's overall easier to climb the lower rating you are. You know, there's no... You know, as we said, you know, there isn't now promotion series into division, which I think is good, because they're just annoying. You know, how many of us have been on 99 LP and then you win the next game? So yes, it's good for your MMR, but you feel really frustrated that you only won 1 LP. So overall, I think it's okay for that. But yeah, the game, you know, it's what you have to think about is the game. The higher rating you go, the player base is still skillful, so it is harder to climb the higher you go. And if it is easier to climb, especially in the low to mid ranks, is that even a bad thing? Because the game, in the end of the day, it's a video game. It's supposed to be, you come home from work and you play some casual video games, right? It's not your job, you know, you're supposed to have fun. So I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing. Yes, I do think climbing now is easier than, let's say, in Season 3, when I got Diamond 1 for the first time. I think it was harder in Season 3 than it is now. But I also don't see that as a massive negative. So, yeah. But that is it. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. That was the first Q&A for 2021. And yeah, hopefully we'll have a good start to the season. The final question that I've had on stream or here or there is, am I nervous at all for Season 11? Kinda, in a weird way. But, you know, I don't have ranked anxiety. I used to many years ago, and I got rid of it, by the way, by just spamming ranked. I forced myself to play ranked, and then I became used to ranked. But you're always a bit nervous at the beginning of a season because it could be make or break. If you have a fantastic start, let's say your first 20 games go really well, you can be in mid to high diamond in your first 20 games, obviously on a previous diamond account, and you're laughing. You're like, hey, I'm already there, you know, great, fantastic. And you can then really focus on your next 50 games to get to Diamond 1 or Master. If you have a bad start, first 20 games go bad, then you might be in Platinum, and then you have to grind a lot just to even make it into Diamond, because it gets flooded with, like, again, the beginning of the season is obviously always a bit hectic, because you're throwing ranks together that shouldn't really be together on a grand scale. So I'm just hoping that the first, I'd say, roughly 20 games go well. I'd be looking, if I can maintain a 60-65% win rate in the first 20 games, that would be good. That would be very good. Even, you know, 55% win rate wouldn't be bad, but as long as it's positive, then I'll be happy, to be honest. So what I also don't want this season, some of you may remember, last season we started actually quite solid, did really well, got into Diamond, and then I went on a 15-game loss streak. It was my biggest loss streak I've ever had, and it wasn't even like I was playing bad. That was the weird thing. It was just losses and losses and losses, and that completely summarized my Season 11. You know, the account was almost unrecoverable. The MMR was so bad that the LP gains were terrible, and obviously I peaked, I think, in Diamond 2 for a few days in Season 10, which is bad for me nowadays. So I don't know, I'm just hoping that we do well and don't go on a massive loss streak. That would be fantastic. And what I will be doing, if I can sense a loss streak, is having a break and going on a different account and just resetting the mental completely. I think that is something that I didn't do last time. I just played and played and played, and that 15-game loss streak was over like 2 days, which is quite a short amount of time to get a 15-game loss streak. So yeah, just be smarter up here, and I think that will help me climb. Dodge games if I think they're losses. That's something I'm also going to do this year. If I'm literally in Champions League going, this is pointless, dodge. And I will say, not every single game that you're in the Champions Select, you're like, this is pointless. You will lose. I would say, though, you'll probably lose 75% of those games. You might win 25% and be surprised. You're like, oh, we actually won this game. But that is the minority. So be smarter with dodges. Because, yeah, 3 LP hit, but it doesn't affect your MMR. Again, the main thing, even though the shiny rank and the LP is what people see, the MMR in the background is the thing you need to protect. And dodging does not impact your MMR. A loss does. So be smarter with that as well. But anyway, that's going to be it. If you guys did enjoy it, throw a like on it. Comments below. Again, what is your wish for Season 11? You know, you can say, what is your ranked wish? What is your balance wish? What do you want Riot to do with the balance? Let me know. And yeah, again, you'll be watching this after the patch note. I'll be doing the patch note video in a few hours when it gets released. And we'll see what they do. I'm hopeful, but also I don't think Riot are going to do any of the changes that people actually want. But we'll see. But anyway, like, comment, subscribe. See you guys next time. Peace.